So we're in part two, configuring full office IT networking and learning from it to learn about IT roles and skills, and later just get to our point, which is the help desk learning. So I assume that you watched the part one. For part two, I have already created two videos, which I did some editing, and I basically connected those two videos. So from that, what you will learn, how did I get access to this basically machine that I'm on right now? How did I physically get access to this router and switch that I'm on right now? You can see if I say no, I'm configuring this switch. And then how did I get access to this router? If I say no, that says router. So this is where we are going to start as a network engineer. Network engineer didn't just jump here, right? He had to do something. He had to first kind of like go get the connection and physically connect it. So this physical environment that I'm talking about, the network engineer is right now working on router and switch configuration. He got the connection from the security guy. We said we're not going to touch this. This is not a part of these labs. We just got it. They set it up. And now the network engineer is going to do the physical setup. So watch this video fully, because in this you will learn how did I get to this point where I am doing this directly. This machine is directly connected. So how am I doing that? So from this video, you will learn that how did the network engineer physically connected the router and switch. So then we can move on to part 3, where in part 3, a network engineer will then configure the networking part and the switch part to get the connection working, and later on assign the task to the system administrator. See you in that video.
Let's say you have a Netgear Wi-Fi router or something at your home that's connected, and now what you want to do is you want to connect this Ethernet, that Ethernet to your router right here, which is a Cisco router, and you have a switch. You want to give a connection to this router so then the switch can get connection, and then your computers can get internet connection. In this lab, your router, Wi-Fi router, we're not going to touch that. It's going to be our 00 right here. So you basically take that wire, plug it into your router, put it into 0. Now remember, I'm going to be using what do you call it? Non-Cisco language here, okay, just to give you things, explain things, way better things. I've seen a lot of people using a lot of port and gigabit, all that kind of stuff. Really, if you're trying to learn things, let's just talk about the image in your head first. Then later on you can go into details and learn the real Cisco stuff. But at this point, 00, that's your Ethernet coming from Netgear. You plugged it in, you're doing nothing, you have done nothing on your Netgear. That's an IP address from DHCP. You just got that IP address, forget about this. Then this guy right here, you need to plug this in to plug this Ethernet in, go back to your switch and plug it in right here. You can see it's already down. That's administratively down. So even though my router is up, but that's not working, you need to configure that. Now that's what's happened in a real world environment. That IP, that 00 that I just showed you, this could be coming from your service provider, internet service provider, AT&T or anyone else, gave you the IP address, and then you're doing all the subnetting and all that kind of stuff, and then you basically plug it in here and you do play around with all your networking. That's why I said it's not a lab for help desk guys, but it's going to give you a really good image how things are working. Going back to the lab, forget about this. What we are doing right now, we have a building here. We got a IP address from our service providers. They set up their stuff in there. They gave us the link. Now my job is to connect the router, the switch, and give this server a connectivity, or maybe any other computers that can directly connect to this switch and should have an internet connection. Now let's go to this computer. This is one that I set up. So if I go to my networking right here and I click on it and I go to adapters, I see I have two adapters. This one is coming directly from my Netgear. So this is getting at that IP address. To find that IP address, we need to go into CMD, IP config. You see it's getting that address 192.168. Now what if I just disable this and turn this guy on? This adapter is connected directly right here. You can see the light just went the amber light, and now it's going to get green. So after get green, it should get an IP address. But I haven't done anything on this switch, so it's not going to get anything good. It's just going to get a bogus IP, which is not going to do any good for me. So that's what your job in this lab is, to connect everything so you can get to the internet. So if I try to go to the same page, it's spinning right now, it's not going to work. And if I go back to my adapter right here, it's still identifying. Even though it says it's connected now, it's still saying identifying, and the light went green. Things look good, but still it's not doing anything good for us. So let's do IP config. You see I got that 169.254. That's not a real IP address. So let's change everything so our switch can get the connection from the router through your Netgear. You're going to get the connection from here to here, and we should be able to get to the internet. So I just started my router. Like I say, this is a fresh router out of the box, and if you want to know how I connected, what we need to know about in this section is about routers and physically configuring it for the first time. So you got this router, you unboxed it, or you got it from a friend, or someone gave it to you. Now it's time for you to connect to it. Remember, there's no mouse keyboard with this stuff, so you need something like these type of cables. So on the back right here, or on the front of the router, you'll see this right here. I'll say console, and look, the color is also blue, and this is also blue. So it's called console rollover cable. Okay, basically what it is, you plug this end of the cable right here. It should be very smooth. You shouldn't be forcing this in there. And you see right here, this goes to the back of your computer. So the back of the computer should have something like this. If you have an old computer, you will see this serial port. Those are pins right there, and this cable, the other end of this cable, will go inside here, and then you will use software like Putty, the things that we're going to discuss right after this. We're going to do that part. If you don't see this on your computer, if you have a laptop, new ones, then you need to get something like this, USB serial to this one, this cable right here. So you put this USB in your laptop, and then the other end of your cable, you'll basically put this in there. These are pins right there, okay? So here's an example right here. Like, see, there's no pins here on this side, but on the USB, this should go to your laptop, and the pins should be here. Then you plug this right here, and then you use your software. Now what we're gonna do, let's set up our first router, like just connecting to it. In this video, we'll just connect to it using two different softwares. So right here I have another 2800 router, and sometimes it could be the front of the router. So I have my console cable connected right here, and the back of the PC, look, I have two serial ports. One is right here. I can plug another like switch in there, but this router is connected to this serial port that's internal, and that's basically external right there, which I have connected to it. I mean, I have to connect other things to it, but for now the router is connected right here. Now if you are following my labs, I am basically setting up this PC that's going to be directly connected to the router, and then I'll have another Ethernet from my modem or your Wi-Fi device, and I'm going to connect it because I need an internet connection. While I am doing this, I am going to be installing software. If you don't, then you're going to need to put it on a USB and put it on the computer where you're going to be setting these up. So I don't have that right now because I want to show you guys that. So I'm going to get connection directly from my router. So a lot of people will get confused. How do you get the connection? So that's why I want to show you this. If you're following my videos, then this is what I'm doing. This is connected to my router, or Linksys, or whatever you have internet connection. Get it, plug it in, I got the lights. Okay, now you can use Windows 7, Server, or anything, maybe Linux, but as long as you have internet connection and these softwares are supported, you can basically use it. Putty is basically a big software. A lot of people use it, so we're going to use Putty, and there's another software I want to show you guys. I will use that. So let's go ahead and download Putty. We know our router is connected right now, and we haven't turned it on yet. So first I'm going to download Putty. So you basically Putty. Alright, so this time we are going to connect to our router. But to do that, you need basically, you can use it Windows 7, Windows servers. If you have servers, you can use like Linux or anything, as long as these softwares are supported by your operating system. So it's not only Putty, you can find something else also, like there's Putty, there's CRT one, and then there's basically MOBA. MOBA is the one that I'm going to be really using in this course. So Putty, you basically go to Google and download, click here, and basically I went to download right here. You can download Putty, click here, and then I basically did the whole installer, Putty 0.67 installer.exe. It sees right here, Windows installer. You could get the portable ones too, depending on what system you use. So there's other options, so you can use that. But I installed the exe, and when I installed it on my computer, I see right here Putty, and I basically click on this, or I can send this to my desktop, so then I have it. The second thing that I downloaded on the internet is MOBA Xterm. Okay, when you do that, you'll see this right here, MOBA Xterm Free X Server. When you click on it, you get this, get MOBA Xterm now. Then you get to download now the free one, and it tells you what it can do. The reason I like this a lot, because we're going to be doing a lot of the Windows stuff and connecting to Windows, different type of technologies. Remember, this course is not just like Cisco routers. It's going to move to Windows servers, Mac servers, and things like that. So we need something that we can follow on and have everything in one place. And this is why I like this over Putty. Now we're going to test both of these two. So you can get the portable or installer. I already installed it. You click on it, you run this, and you will see something like this. You go to all programs, and then you'll see MOBA Xterm Personal Edition, and then you can send that to your desktop. I'm going to show you guys. I have it on my desktop, and I have my Putty on the desktop. So now we got the software. We got the cable connected to the router. All I need to do now is to turn on my router. Let's go and turn it on. There you go. The sound is pretty good. Remember, we're doing all this thing physically because, remember, that's how you want to do real practice. Okay. So now this is going through that boot process. In the last video when I talked to you guys that go ahead and learn about the boot process, this is going through that boot process right now. So let's go ahead and use Putty to connect to using the serial connection. You'll basically open Putty for the first time, and then you will see serial right here. Now you see right here, it automatically connects COM1 9600 is the speed. So if I say, you know what, let me see if my serial port is on COM1, I'm going to say open. When you do open, you click enter. Now it's telling me that my router is actually not using COM1. So what you need to do, click OK, go open Putty again, go to serial, and do COM2. Now your COM2 and 9600, I'm going to say open, and I'm going to say enter. Alright, so it's still not using. Okay, we got two more. Open Putty, go to serial connection, and do COM3. It's not connected. Okay, good. We're going to do COM4 now. Not connected. Okay. What is going on here? That's a good thing to find out. So now I'm going to go back to my console cable and make sure everything is connected correctly. So I see that my console cable is connected and my serial, making sure. So I'm going to basically do is unplug my cable and plug it back into my computer. Great troubleshooting right here, guys. First troubleshooting started real well. So now Putty again. Let's go back to Putty. Let's do serial again, COM1, open. No luck. Okay, let's do COM2. Serial, COM2. There you go. What a great troubleshooting right there, guys. I love this because This is something that you will not see when you do packet tracing, my friends. This is where people can get stuck. And maybe real world scenario will be a network engineer call you and he says, hey, can you connect to the physical router, and then you plug in another PC that have an internet connection so I can get in. Can you do that? So this process, at least if you do this, you will give a connection to a network engineer, so he will do his stuff, but you did something basic at this level, which if you didn't know, now you know. That's how you troubleshoot. Now you see how I went to COM 1, 2, 3, 4, this 4. So if you see that it didn't work for 1, it didn't work for 2, 3, 4, then go back to your computer, unplug the cable, plug it back, and then try again. Now, this is where we have it. We are connected to the router. This video was all about how to connect physically to the router, and this is how you do it on Putty, right? But before I do this, I want to show you guys the boot process that we talked about. I'm going to turn off router and turn it on again. You guys see that right there? It's basically doing the boot process. It's looking for information. It's checking the memory. Hey, do I have the memory? Do I have the configuration file? Do I have the iOS? Do I have everything like that? It's basically checking that. And then now it's basically opening up the computer. This is basically the same as a computer starting, normal computer. It looks for boot process, then it goes back and say, oh, do you have Windows or do you have Linux? And then it will show you the screen, right? And then you use your mouse and keyboard. But in here, you don't have mouse and keyboard. The only way to use mouse and keyboard is through that cable. Console cable, rollover cable. So you use that over there, right? So now that was the boot process. But what if I take that flash out, compact flash? I'm going to take that out because my system is in there. I'm going to turn it off, turn it on again. Now let's see what happened. It is going through the boot process, right? And bam, it stopped going ahead. I mean, this says right here, compact flash not present. So what could be a real scenario over here? That somebody would call you, let's say somebody went there and they were playing with the router and somehow they clicked that little button and then they took the flash out, the compact flash, which is right here. They took this out and now your whole network, your main router, let's say this was your main router, there's nothing redundancy or nothing like that, and it's stuck. And somebody figured this out. This could be one of the reasons. Your network engineer say, hey, can you go to the compact, look at the router, and there's a compact flash right in front of the router. If this router supports this stuff, it'll tell you, can you check that if everything is plugged in or it is, like, you know, in there correctly. So I'm going to go back and plug it back in and make sure that it's in there. And I'm going to go ahead and restart my router. Now, this should go ahead and basically finish the boot process, and everything should be in there, and that should be in the router like it should be, okay? There's lights coming up, things going on right now, and you will see the router should basically pick it. There you go. So now they're telling me that there's an image, and I'm saying, yeah, okay, this is okay. And next it's going to tell me, okay, this router is good. It will do some little process right there, and that's it. It looked for all the information that it needed, and now you should be inside the router. It will take a second depending on your memory and all that. It could be a very powerful router. It could be an old router. Old router can take time. So right after this, I'm going to show you guys how to use the other software, and you can use other softwares, many other softwares, to connect to router like this, as long as they support serial. So there you go. Would you like to enter the initial configuration dialog? And then that's it. After this, we're going to make another video how to configure the router for the first time when you're inside the router first, right? So I'm going to go ahead and close this, and let's talk about the other software that we downloaded is MOBA Extern, right? I'm going to go ahead and double click on it. There you go. You know why I like this? Because everything is so centralized, and there's a lot of tools you can use, which we'll discuss later on. But to connect to the router through this software now, all you got to do is right click on it, go to new session, and here are the sessions. Look at this. In one portable, or maybe you installed it, you have SSH, you have Telnet, you have RDP. Remember we're talking about, we're going to do DHCP servers, DNS servers, all other servers, FTP, SFTP. We're going to put everything in one place, so that will be really easy for us to follow along in this course. So now what we're going to do is they should have serial right here. And that's the same thing that you did in Putty, right? You're going to click on that. One thing you need to change is the speed over here. 9600. You're going to use that. And it says COM1 communication, and there are two communications right now. So you can check COM1. I'm going to go ahead and open it. Click enter. This is not the right one. Remember, we have to check it now. We're going to close this out. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to create a new session now. I'm going to say serial, change the speed to 9600, and I'm going to use COM2. And I'm going to say OK. Enter. There you go. I'm inside the router. The reason I love this is now I can do a lot of things in this. For example, if I'm teaching here or you are basically trying to look at this screen bigger, all you have to do is right click and you can have all of these options and play around with this very quickly. And Putty, you have to go and do configuration, save it. Here you can just say control and play around with your mouse. So if you hit the control and your mouse scroll up and down the wheel, it should go up and down. So look at this. If I hit my control and I go up, look at this. If I can play around with this, right? So one thing is that, or whatever you do in this router, all the configuration can be recorded, meaning you can save it to the file. Everything, single command will be saved instantly, very quickly. You can reset a terminal. You can basically do full screen on this, or you can also change the colors, and it has its own Cisco syntax too. So if you click right here and go to Cisco networking configuration, basically it will give you different colors for different commands. Okay, we're going to do this later on, but for now I showed you how to use two different softwares and connect to the router. One last thing I would like to show you on this is the macro in these things, which is really cool. Like if I type all these commands and I say, you know what, I'm going to share this macro with someone and I will set this this router for you. You don't have to touch anything. I can start recording all the macros. But that's something else. We're going to discuss that later on. But for now, we are inside the router. Next video, we are going to configure this router. How to get into this router is done. We're going to now name this router. We are going to put a password on this router. We are going to add an interface to this router so we can connect through an IP address. We're not going to be using right here the serial. We're going to be using SSH or Telnet, meaning we can be sitting anywhere on network or anywhere somewhere that I can access the IP address, and bam, I can be inside the router. But physical connection to the router, for you to understand this, is extremely important, because I just showed you some troubleshooting and we just did some troubleshooting in front of you guys, and that was our first video.